My name is Beth McDonald Stone, and welcome to this knitting channel. This is my second time recording today, so I hope it's all good, and I hope I cover everything. It's an exciting one, and I have lots to tell you, so I hope I get it done. I'm trying a new setup and a new everything, new recording equipment, etc. for a better quality recording. I just have to make sure that the microphone is recording. That's the big ticket. Yeah, got the video, but no sound. Anyways, here we go again. Got lots to tell you today. I'm super excited. I've just come back from 10 days in Italy, knitting related, so I have lots to tell you about that. Can't wait. I've got a new pattern, a new release this week that I'm also really excited about. So yeah, so stay tuned. And we'll start with the new knitting design, which I'm wearing here. And ironically, this morning it was raining, and this is the Tank Rain tee. So this morning I recorded a little snippet sitting on the porch with the rain behind, telling you all about this tee and everything about what tank rain means to us here in Bermuda. So I'm going to pass you over to that. Enjoy, and I'll be back with more. Okay. Hi, well, it's podcast day today, and I'm releasing the tank rain tee, and it's raining. So I'm making breakfast. It started to rain. I just thought how fortunate that timing was, and so I thought I'd pause my breakfast making and come and talk to you about the tank rain tee with some tank rain. So this is the new pattern release for today, or this week. It's a circular yoke, top down, all in the round, short row shaping at the back neck, picot edges for the collar, cuff, and hem. And just really simple. I've used my favorite summer yarn, which is Sandnes Garnalina, in the color denim blue, and I love it. I've designed it to be a bit more fitted. I've made mine a bit more cropped because I like the shadow I find that really flattering waist thing for my proportions. I'm really high-waisted. Yeah, and it's really simple. The increases are all done in the yarn overs in the little droplets here. And I'm really pleased with this top. I'm actually really pleased with it. I think it's really flattering. It's a really great fit, and that's what I've heard from the test knitters, and I'm really pleased about that, because that's always something, of course, that I'm striving for. And I think that, excuse you, Luna. Luna's in her spot right there. She likes to watch the rain too. Anyways, and I think the trick to that is with a circular yoke, even though you can do more rapid increases, you need to make sure the largest amount of increases are closest to the neckline, because you want your garment to go out quicker, and then it can taper off in the angle, so that it fits your shoulders, which are generally more or less perpendicular to your collar cast on. So I think that's the trick. That's what I've been playing with. Even in raglans, I've been working on that too. Just having a rapid increase closer to the neck and then tapering it off as it gets bigger. And so I think it's a really fun fit, and really simple, really easy knit, really quick knit. I have a great group of test knitters, and I would totally encourage you to take a look at their versions, because they're all spectacular. It was sort of a short test knit call because I wanted to have this out as soon as possible for summer wear this year, and I think I gave 3 weeks, and so many were finished in the first week, 10 days, 2 weeks. It was amazing to see how quickly it knit up, and I felt the same way too. The one thing to note is that to create the picot edges, you are doing a 1x1 rib and then just a really simple edge stitch, really simple, and then folding the collar over or under. And I've included instructions on how to sew it down, or how to knit it down with a bind off down here, so I have to be careful because it's all in different directions, and here too, so that you can keep on knitting. So this is not with a bind off, this is with a bind off, and these are with bind offs. It's really simple. It's basically, the trick is just to make sure that you line up your stitches on the inside and the outside, and then it'll all work out because they're equal. And also it's pretty easy because, of course, with the knits and the purls, you can just identify the stitches so clearly. Obviously, if you've got a knit on this side, it's a purl on the inside. Pretty simple. What else can I say about it? Oh yes, and then with that, I have only gone down one needle size for the edging, but you might just want to take a look and make sure that some people have looser purl stitches than I do. And I do give it a little extra tug on purl stitches, just to make sure that they're not floppy and loose. But if you find your purling is looser than your knitting, you may want to go down an extra needle size, but that's just to keep it sort of neat and tidy. I mean, mine has a little bit of a flare, but it's not a flare in the sense of the yarn is loose. It's a flare because, of course, this is double. This fabric here is double, where this fabric, of course, is only single. So I think it's actually a really cute little flare, but if you're finding that you're getting a bigger flare, you just go down a needle size and it's super easy. What else? Oh, the other thing about Sandnes Garnlina and any sort of non-protein fibers, because I'm a big believer in split splicing to join yarn so that it's like a seamless join. Clearly you can't with something like this, Lina, which is a viscose linen and cotton yarn, I think. You can't do that. So what I do actually is I take a needle and I kind of weave the garbage truck is coming. Sorry, one sec. Okay, they've just gone down the hill, so that they'll be back up in a minute. But anyways, so what I do is I take a needle and I thread the new yarn with the old yarn, it doesn't matter which order, and then I just weave through. If it's pretty loose ply, so you just make sure you're getting through different plies. And then you have two longish strands on either side. And then basically this sort of middle section right there, the middle, where it's been woven together, you just make sure that that can be knit through 2 or 3 stitches, and you let these sort of ends dangle. So that basically you're knitting with 2 or 3 you're knitting with a yarns woven together for 2 or 3 stitches, letting those dangle at the ends, and then sometimes I weave them through and sometimes I just cut those off because they'll sort of unply and just hang gently, and then you absolutely cannot see any joins. I do try to put the joins in this area here, so let's see. I don't think you can see anything. Maybe if I go this way, is the light better this way? I'm not sure. But you can't see any joins, and that's been great. I have knit so many summer tops before with cellulose fibers, and some of the most discouraging join marks. I remember having one. I think I did my the anchor tee from the Petite Knit, and I think I had a join like right here, and it was so obvious. And so ever since then, I've been trying to perfect joining yarn with cellulose fibers and things. And I think I found that this is the best way. So it's kind of a Russian join, but it's even simpler than a Russian join. Like, it's not hooked in any way. And once you've knit it 2 or 3 stitches, it's not going anywhere. It's totally fine. And then I just, again, I'll leave little tails. And if I'm at all nervous about it, I might just duplicate stitch on the inside a few just to really secure it. So hopefully that helps anyone with that. And then the other thing, so let's just talk about what is tank rain. So tank rain is this. This is actually a little bit misty for tank rain. Like, tank rain is really usually when it's coming right down. And the reason that's really important in Bermuda is because we get our running water from rain. Our roofs, I don't think in here you can see any roofs. I mean, there's a house down here, but let's see. Yeah, you can see a house. Yeah, there's our house roof, and then there's our neighbor's roof. And can you see the little lines on it? So what happens with the rain is the rain hits the roof, and those little lines are ridges, and it guides the into So they're all kind of cascading gently. And it there'll be multiple spots on the roof, on sort of closer to the gutter, or here. Sorry, it's really hard to, there we go, on my roof, but there's none in that area. But that'll go into a little pipe. and that pipe will feed into a tank. Our tank is actually, there's one in our, which we did this as an extension, so there's a nice tank underneath this porch, and there's an old tank on the other, sorry, where's my hand? There's my hand. On the other side of that, that's the laundry room, and on the other side of the laundry room there's a tank underneath our old front porch. And so the water gets put into those tanks and held there and used for kitchens, bathrooms, toilets, everything. It's our water. We don't have a septic. No, we have septic. Septic is for flushing. We don't have like mains water here, other than if you're living in Hamilton, which is our main city. So roofs are really important. Rain is really important. And historically, we've had to be very careful of, using water. So Bermuda is known for, if you take a bath, you've only got like that much water in it traditionally, which was always really fun. As a kid growing up in Canada, coming to Bermuda, and I loved to swim at the beach, you'd get sand everywhere. And I remember going to my grandparents' house and like, this is all the water I had to kind of get all that sand off. And I just thought this was for the birds. But it's for the birds for a good reason. And that is because we have to monitor how much rain we use. And then our house, the original part of the house, this house here, is old. So the old tank is very small. And it is, all that water is taken from that roof. The tank under here is much bigger, and it's from the new roof. And the great thing is basically if you have a lot of rain, there's an overflow and you waste water. So that old tank was, designed in the 1930s and very small because, of course, no one thought people would have dishwashers, washing machines, or whatever in houses too, whatever, and using long showers, multiple times a day. You just didn't live that way. So the old tanks are usually quite small relatively and tricky to use. You can buy water. You get it. A truck comes and puts water back into your tank if you're running low, or after you've done repairs and had to empty the tank, etc., etc. But yeah, so tank rains is when you'll say to someone on the island like, oh, last night it was such a nice rain. It was a real tank rain. So which means it really rained a lot, and our tank benefits from it. So this is a bit misty of a rain. I feel like it's maybe getting a bit heavier. I'm not sure. There's definitely parts on the island right now where I can see on the radar that they're getting a lot more rain, but that's what tank rain is. So I will leave you with that. I'm going to go have my breakfast, and then I will come back to you later. I think from my office, unless it keeps on raining and it's lovely like this, then maybe I'll come back out here and record the rest of the podcast. So I hope you enjoyed that. I love this talk. Couldn't be more excited about it. Hope you are too. One thing I don't think I mentioned is that the pattern is, of course, now available in Ravelry. And like I do with all my new releases, it is 20% off for the first 2 weeks of publication. So that is until July, the months are flying by, July 18th, midnight, Atlantic Standard Time, 20% off, no coupon required. So head on over to Ravelry if this appeals. Again, a fun, great knit and a super summer tee. So there. What I'd like to talk about next is my amazing trip to Italy. So knitting around northern Italy. That was really so much fun, and I've got lots of stories to tell you. So let's start with that, and let's start with Milan, because that's where I flew into from Bermuda via London Heathrow. Great flight. It's an overnight flight from Bermuda to London. Got comfy in my seat, snoozed, woke up in Heathrow, made a quick connection onto a smaller plane to take me to Milan. Lanar, a great teeny little airport that is so close to the center of the city, literally 15 minutes to the hotel. So landed around 12 noon, was basically at my hotel by 12:30, 12:45. It was incredible. Lanar Airport, I think, has won a lot of awards. I could see it when I entered to fly home. And there's absolute reason for that. Fantastic airport, super efficient. I don't think I broke my stride once I got off the airplane, and zoom through customs, picked up the bag, into a taxi, and 10 minutes later I'm at the hotel, which was amazing. 15 minutes maybe at a push, but and a beautiful drive, not like endless highways, like a beautiful drive down through central Milan. So that was great. The hotel I was staying at was in the Verticale district, which is Milan is the old city center is was an old walled city, and there's still the sort of gates of the walls around it. And so the Verticale district is a high-rise district, very modern, just outside of one of the gates, north of an area that I became totally in love with called the Brera. So great location, super efficient, super close to everything. There was the Italy shop right there, which was fantastic because it was just a great stopping off point for a few snacks and stuff back to the hotel room. And it was really quiet. It was a quiet district, which I really appreciated too. The hotel was fantastic. I think it was called Uno Verticale Experience. I can't recommend it enough. Location, breakfast, rooms, the works, amazing. So that was really great. 2 thumbs up for that. And because I'm recording on a different computer program, I don't get the emojis. So this is, we're stepping up in the world here. Anyways, so hotel was great. And literally I was out the door exploring just after 1 o'clock, and I got a full day's worth of exploring that day. Because I was close to the Brera and that was a district I knew I wanted to explore and check out, I just spent the afternoon wandering those little teeny wonderful streets. It's a very historic area, very creative artsy area. Teeny streets. I couldn't figure out which way was up and which way was down, but thank goodness to Google Maps. Beautiful little shops, a lot of local little shops, not too many big chain stores in that neighborhood, which I really love. Yeah, beautiful restaurants, gelato, people, bars, people sitting in the street. Milan is definitely a place where people really live in the city and use the city, and I loved that. It was fantastic. So wandered the Brera, just explored. I can't even tell you what I did other than just have a wonderful time. As you probably all know, Europe is having a major heat wave. It was hot. It was like everything between 94 and 98 while I was there. Degrees. I don't know what that is. And it's funny. I hear one or the other and it means the same to me, but I can't tell you what. I think maybe 34, 32, 34. Anyways, so it was hot. If you just pick the shady side of the street, you're pretty good. I did get pretty schwitzy, but summertime in a heat wave. Anyways, so that was really great. Milan is a beautiful, beautiful city. Oh, and in all of my problems, there we go. I put my cheat sheet down. So I'm going to be looking at the screen too, because I've got my notes to help remember what to say. Anyway, so Milan is beautiful. The city has got lots of little districts. There's one district I can't remember that's all about canals. The Brera had canals in it, but they're sort of dried out. But you can see that Milan historically was a merchant city, and the way to get around, of course, was canals. They're not anymore. Now it's roads. But yeah, you can see evidence of canals in the Brera district, and in another district, which was really beautiful. I can't remember what it's called, where the canals are still operational, and there's lovely cafes alongside. So it's really pretty. I visited the Duomo. I was going to the Duomo for a musical concert, a piano concert in the evening. I didn't quite understand what I was signing up for, and I had to be there for 6 o'clock to get onto the roof. But the music didn't start till 8:30. The roof was hot. There was no breeze. So I didn't stay at 8:30. 8:30 is my bedtime. So that just wouldn't work anyways. Anyway, so it was beautiful. I loved being up on the roof. I can't believe that you can go and walk around on such a piece of history and really see all of the gargoyles and ornamentation up close. It was just really spectacular. I will, in this video, put towards the end, not the end, after this little section on Milan, there'll be a little movie clip that I put together showing you pictures, and you'll see some of the Duomo. And you can see actually in the distance of one of the images the Verticale districts, or the modern buildings, so you can get an idea of where I was staying versus the city. The Duomo is pretty much in the city center. Also in Milan, there's the Sforza Castle, which I explored one morning. Beautiful, full of history, so full of history. strangely organized. I had a hard time figuring out where the museums were in the castle. Also, the computer system wasn't working, so they were having a hard time with tickets. But anyways, they didn't seem to be that fussed about it anyways, either way. But anyways, I did get to see the Sforza Castle. It was spectacular, and some of the exhibitions I wanted to see. I really wanted to see the historic musical instruments, but I couldn't find where that museum was. The billboards outside had been very weather damaged, and it was really hard to read, and finding people was really hard to ask for help, and then it just got so hot. So I saw what I saw. It was really great. A furniture exhibit, historic sort of rooms, and so on. And that was great. I really enjoyed that. And I think having watched TV shows about the Medicis and stuff, the Sforza family has been very influential in the history of Milan and northern Italy. And so being in their castle was just amazing. Also, there's swallows around the castle, and they live in the little holes in the brickwork. And that was just magical, just seeing them flying in and out of the holes and stuff like that when I was walking around the exterior. So really, really cool place. There was a garden behind the palace, the palatial gardens, but limited shade and hot. So I didn't explore that, which is a shame, but I have to go back. So let's see. Brera district was fantastic. And the neat thing is, before I traveled, a fellow knitter named Mary reached out to me. She was going on the retreat and was going to be in Milan with her friend Melissa before the retreat, and would I like to get together with them? Absolutely, yes. Fantastic. Mary had done a lot of research. Yay. I totally hadn't. Things were a little bit nutty before the trip, and I sometimes just wing it. But she was organized, and so I kind of tagged along. So we met up on the Thursday morning at a little market in the city center, historic market with everything from produce to fish to meat. I think meat. I stood by the fishmonger, and it was just fascinating. All local, like there was clearly local repeat customers. And again, I just love being in a city that isn't all tourists. Like, it's literally a city that the locals are still using 100%. And that was just fabulous to watch, because there was a lot of repeat customers for the fishmonger and everything that I was watching. There was clothing, shoes, kitchen gadgets. It was just a cool market. So we met there, and from there we went to a little art gallery in the Brera, which was lovely and air conditioned. That was great. There was a lot of historical pieces that we saw there. A lot of religious art, of course, which was fantastic. And then I went on to the modern building of that same art gallery and saw some more contemporary work and fashion photography, which was really great too. So beautiful day then. And then we decided to get together the next day, and we were to meet at a lovely yarn store called Lanar. And we did that. That was in the district. So if you've got the city center with the old gates around it, so the old walled center, I was by one gate, and then Lanar was in another neighborhood outside the city center, just the next gate over. So very easy walking distance for me, and met them there. This was a spectacular store. This store is like a typical, well, not typical, what I would think is a typical traditional yarn store, where beautifully fitted out with wooden bookcases and stuff. And hopefully I'll be putting on a little video that way. Sorry, if I can figure out how to do that, but a video here of me walking around the store. Anyways, beautiful wooden bookcases, beautifully displayed yarn and gorgeous samples. I saw Isabell Kraemer samples there, which was very fortuitous since I was seeing her the next day. For the Myak Retreat. And just totally inspiring. And Lanar has its own proprietary brand. They don't use any other brand of yarn. It's just their yarn. So that was just really special. I was totally inspired by a few of their pieces. Some of their really heavy woolly things were gorgeous, but with the heat as it was, and actually there was rolling blackouts that morning too, because it was so hot. So I just couldn't even look at the really thick, heavy wool. But I walked in and saw this. This is like a thick and thin yarn, very similar composition to this, which is, I think in the little blurb before I said it was Sandnes Garnlina, but actually it's Drops Belle. interchangeable yarns. They're basically the same composition. And this is sort of another one, except thick and thin. So it's sort of a more unique texture, overall texture, but same composition of viscose, linen, cotton, and that. So that's really beautiful. And I love the color. It's kind of black and navy blue marled together, twisted together. So got that, 400 grams. And that is called Tropical, color 498. The other yarn that I bought there is this, and there you can see Lanar. That's the brand there. The other yarn I bought is this rather ropey, it kind of feels like twine, but it's a linen yarn. And this is what they had one of the samples of an Isabell Kraemer t-shirt in, with sort of an interesting textured yoke. And it was so elegant and so stunning. And so I bought this yarn. This yarn might not be the most fun to work with. It's seriously like rope. Like, you know, if you wrapped this around and made it many plies, you would have traditional ship rope. Like, there is no, and maybe an exaggeration, but there is no give to this. So it might not be the most fun knit, but wow, is it spectacular and elegant. So I purchased 4 balls of this, which I think is around 1,000 yards. So hopefully I will get that on the needles. Yeah, so Lanar was just spectacular. And really, if you're in Milan as a knitter, truly, I hope you hit that shop up. If not to purchase, but just to touch, feel, look, take it all in the senses. It was really elegant. And it's those sort of shops that I really, really enjoyed in all over Milan. There's sort of these family stores that had clearly been with multi-generations. I didn't speak to the owner or the ladies and gentlemen who were working at Lanar. There was a language barrier, and I was with friends and stuff like that. But I did speak with a couple other shop owners as I was walking around the Brera district and sort of the city center. And a lot of the stores that I really enjoyed that were so special were sort of family-owned stores. One that I bought fabric in that was from the 1930s, and it was the same family that owned it, generations running it, and it was just so cool, and it had that been there forever vibe, but still really current. It was amazing. Another store I went into sold beautiful cotton pajamas and had some really interesting shoes, espadrilles and velvet shoes. And again, same thing, owned by the same family for 80 years. It was onto the 3rd generation now. And I loved that. I love the sense of authenticity and not just endless chain stores. So Milan was really spectacular for that. Let's see. Melissa and Mary had recommended the San Bernardino alla Ossa. So I think Ossa is bones. So it's a church or a chapel dedicated to bones that they had to exhume from a cemetery around there. That was, I think, a hospital cemetery that they exhumed the bones because the cemetery got full. And then they placed them in a very artistic, beautiful way in the chapel. And I really enjoyed that. So images of that will be there'll be a trailer video after this section on Milan. And I thought that was spectacular. And it was a walk in, make a donation, enjoy your time there and walk out kind of thing, which I quite like. And anyways, after Lanar with Melissa and Mary, we went to the fashion district, which was really fun. We kind of poked our nose into a bunch of the different sort of very high-end shops, enjoyed ourselves there. Melissa knew of a wonderful glove company from Milan, which I purchased some winter gloves for traveling. Leather gloves, not expensive, just beautifully made, and I just can't wait for a reason to wear them. We popped into some of the really big brand stores. Like we went into Prada. Of course, Prada is home-based in Milan. And the people in the store could not have been more helpful. We weren't purchasing, we were just poking around. But the people in the store, I mean, they had a room in the back that had pieces from Prada's archives. So that were for sale, but were, basically a little museum room. And they showed us that, talked to us about all sorts of the history and stuff like that. And it was really fantastic. Same with some of the other brands in that neighborhood. I know we went into Loewe and learned about the history of that company. And I found Milan really fantastic, really friendly. And even in these really hoity-toity stores, really friendly. Like they couldn't do enough for you. And it's not been always my experience. So Milan is a friendly city. And I loved it. Oh, sorry, Luna's just up from her nap and knocked the table. So that was really great. Also, I found beautiful old patisseries, which was a great way to have a little break mid-afternoon, because mid-afternoon just got so hot. So I went to one that was really historic, dating back to 1825. Can't remember the name. It's fantastic. And then looked up another one in the fashion district that I went to with Mary and Melissa. And again, fantastic. Light lunch, air conditioning, lots of water. Gosh, we were thirsty. And it just was a beautiful setting too. It was so hot. I think Milan would be amazing to visit and to do a sort of gourmet version, tourism sort of aspect of it. Risotto is sort of the main dish, saffron risotto. But it was just so hot. And so my favorite meal in Milan was melon wrapped with prosciutto. It was just hit the spot. And it's one of those things that, yeah, I've had it around, and, you know, quite often it's served here in Bermuda as sort of a side dish and stuff. But man, that juicy melon and a little bit of salt and a lot of glasses of water. And I was very satisfied. So there's a reason why that's a popular dish, and it was amazing. So I'm going to leave you here now for a minute to see a little video clip that I put together. Great music. I found that in the edits, meta edits, whatever. So I hope you enjoy it. Really funky music, some good photos, and a great city. So back in a second with talking about the Myak Retreat, which I know any knitter would be very keen to hear about, because that was also really special. So back in 2 seconds.
Lei mi veste, io mi spoglio, cuore caldo, notti volo. Welcome to Milano, mamma mia, io la amo. Lei mi veste, io mi spoglio, asciura, glam, brera soft. Sguardi dritti, ego loft. Welcome to Milano. Welcome to Milano. Lei mi veste, io mi spoglio, giorno, notte, io mi accollo. Nebbia fitta, d'umo glow, strade nude, fashion show. Welcome to Milano. Lei mi veste, io mi spoglio, giorno, notte.
Okay, so it looks like everything was recorded, including my voice. So fantastic. We are on a roll. Let's hope it lasts. So Milan, amazing. Hope you enjoyed that video. It's super fun. The next day, after spending a lovely day with Melissa and Mary, we were to meet at the big airport for the bus up to Cavallese. The big airport is called Malpensa. It's a massive airport. It's sort of where all the intercontinental flights come in, massive airport, and ways outside of Milan. So we met there. I think it was supposed to be for 2 o'clock. I got there at 1 o'clock. I hate being late. So I was there early and sat down at a cafe, and went to a cafe to sit down and saw some knitters and joined them, and then more knitters came, and we just had a great time getting to know each other even before getting on the bus. And that's just how it rolled. It was fantastic. So the bus ride was beautiful. Started, on these big highways, then the highways got smaller, and then we got up in the mountains, and the roads got windier, and the drops on the side of the highway got steeper. But the bus driver was clearly from the neighborhood or from the area and knew his way around. So it was great. It was spectacular views. And after 4 hours of driving, so around 6 o'clock at night, we arrived in Cavallese. Cavallese is a tiny little mountain village. I don't think it would be called a town. Maybe it's a town village. Up in the Dolomites, and it's the home for Paola. It's where she grew up, Paola from Myak. And so the bus was not a big bus, but could only go so far into the town, where we met Andrea and Paola, and all piled out of the bus, threw our big suitcases in Andrea's car, which he drove to the inn, and we all walked down. It wasn't far. It was a 5-minute walk downhill with our hand luggage, and got to know each other further, checked in, got into our beautiful rooms, really like an alpine, not a chalet, like an alpine outdoor adventure place to stay. And it was beautiful. We each had our own room, ensuite bathroom, and think most had a porch. Mine had a group porch with 2 or 3 other rooms down the way, which was super. It was hot. The inn had no air conditioning, but there was a gentle breeze and it was so safe. We could leave the doors and windows open. So that was just dreamy. There was no bugs. So it just slept with the doors and windows open. Every night there was like a thunder and lightning storm up in the mountains, I think, because of the heat. It was just spectacular. And every time you woke up in the morning at 7 o'clock, there were the church bells. Oh my gosh, just dreamy. And the sun rose really early, 4:30 in the morning. That was kind of cool. And I think it's set quite late too. So Milan, or sorry, Cavalese is much further north than where I am here in Bermuda. The nights were really short comparatively. So just spectacular. I think I will have, after this section, a video of time in Cavalese, but also the one that I really love is just the view of my room, a view from my bed in my room, the room I was renting, staying in, and the church bells. And that was just so dreamy. So after dropping our bags off in our rooms, we met downstairs for a cocktail and a review of what was coming, like the schedule and everything like that, with Paula and her whole team, which was great fun, and then on to a beautiful dinner. Now, the inn's meals were amazing. They served us quite often 3 meals a day. I mean, we had meals outside of the inn schedule scattered through the whole stay, but 3 meals, beautiful multi-course lunch and dinners with a huge sort of salad spread too. Breakfast, usual sort of, well, usual plus buffet concept with everything from yogurts, chia pudding, other oatmeal, patisseries, pastries, meats, cheeses, fruits, you name it was all there. Teas, coffee, amazing. So the food was fantastic. It was a little cooler, so actually I was pretty hungry when I got up there. But yes, the food was just spectacular, and it gave another really wonderful opportunity for us all to mix. And I think everyone made a great intention of, or effort, I should say, to sit at different tables and really get to know each other. It was a large-ish group, 30 people, so there was a lot of great conversations to be had, and I think people really did. I know I enjoyed making an effort to kind of meet and get to know people. There were some that I still haven't, and that's a shame, but it was great. And it was it was a group of very interesting people, and we all gelled beautifully. So that was just so much fun. So whenever you came down for a meal or going down to a class, it was never that sort of like, oh God, what am I going to sit? It was just, friendly, warm, inviting, fantastic. It kind of reminded me of summer camps away or boarding school. My boarding school experience was a really, really positive one, where you're just engaged all the time academically, so intellectually, which we had classes at the retreat. Physically, we had a lot of physical hikes and walks, and food and everything, and socially too, and it just makes for a really great day. So that was fantastic. So the mornings usually started with a hike. If you wanted, you don't have to. There was like a 7 o'clock in the morning hike. I joined all of them because I'm very keen to walk, as you all know. And so one morning it was going down into the valley and up a little bit on the other side to see a beautiful waterfall. That was spectacular. Another day was actually going up higher than the town to a pagoda and its views of the area, and then walking into a field to see the next town over, and more beautiful mountain views. So just gorgeous. There were other hikes to be had as well. On the last day in the afternoon, it was sort of a free time, and Andrea was going to lead us, to those who wish, to the gondolas that are in the town of Cavalese, because you can ski right out of the town. How cool is that? Clearly only in the winter. There was no snow on the mountains now, but we could take the 2 gondolas up and then a chairlift to the very top and see the views and the mountains in the distance, and that was just so much fun. I have a fear of heights. The gondolas were fine. I was facing up the hill, and it's contained, and there was great company and lots of laughter, and I was completely distracted, and that was great. Chairlifts, they can get to me, I'll be honest. I do love to ski, but the chairlifts can kind of bother me. I've never gone down a chairlift where you're facing the great expanse, where I can focus on going up a chairlift and it's not as sort of stressful. So the thought of going down the chairlift did kind of freak me out. So when people started to say that they were willing to walk down the first chairlift and then hop on the gondola, I was excited, and that was really fun. The other thing that sort of surprised me is I'm a skier. Like, I grew up skiing. I'm not a fabulous skier, and I'm definitely not a thrill seeker. I just like the dance. So I usually stick to greens and blues, and I consider them to be really easy hills. I think we walked down a green or a blue run, which are the easy or the intermediate hills, so nothing super steep. But they were steep. That was really interesting on the knees. That was hard. My knees are a bit wonky from skiing as a child. I had an accident once. It hasn't really repaired that well, but I mean, it's fine. But knee strength is not my forte. And walking down the mountains was pretty hard. Walking uphill, up the mountains was actually kind of easier for me. And that's, I mean, of course I was breathless, but going down, my knees sort of would start to kind of go like this a bit. But walking down a green and a blue run, they're steeper than I thought. Anyways, lots of fun. So lots of exercise, which is great because there's all that beautiful food. And also one other outdoors event that was a real highlight, and everyone joined in because they had buses that would take us to the top of this mountain across the valley. So the mountain above the waterfall that we visited the first morning. We went to the top, or sort of the top, and of course mountains seem to always have another peak just beyond, but up to the top in a bus, and to a cabin that was owned by the family of a Michelin star chef that grew up with Paola in Cavallese. And this cabin is basically like a kitchen of a sort. With the outdoors, you have like a grill, and they've focused a stream to go into sort of a trough where they could chill the wines and water. Like, how elegant is that? And where this chef prepared us a beautiful, beautiful multi-course lunch, focusing on natural products of the area, so foraging. And before the lunch, he took us for a walk to show us basically what we would be eating and what is out there. And apparently, I think there was like 380 possible edible plants in that area, and he showed us quite a few. So that was really fascinating then to come back and see the beautiful presentation and the food, and just the tastes and the flavors and everything like that was really just so much fun. And from there, a group of people decided to walk back to the hotel, which was about 6 miles, 95% downhill, down the mountain, and then back up to the hotel on the other side. And I was very keen to join that. It was really fun. Beautiful vistas, sort of Sound of Music, kind of, just great expanses and fields and tree lines, and just amazing. So we had a lot of fun walking down the mountain and then back up to the hotel, and then ready for dinner. So lots of fun. So a really wonderful mix of fresh air, which made for sleeping so beautiful with the doors and windows open, and the atmospheric noises around and everything like that. The other part of the trip, of course, because it was a knitting retreat, were the classes held by Isabell Kraemer, who is a very good hiker. You heard it here. She is a fantastic hiker and very keen and very, very fit. But anyways, she's also a very keen, very talented knitwear designer. And we had her for the 4 days, and that was just great. So we actually had 2 classes with Isabell Kraemer. The first one on the first morning was focused on dip stitches and how dip stitches work. So she had a pamphlet for us with 5 dip stitch techniques, and we sort of sat there and tried them out and everything like that, and learned how to do that. Dip stitches are basically when you're knitting along, but you knit down into the fabric below, pull up the yarn, and then work it in such a way that creates a really interesting texture. So that was really fun. The other class that we had with her was basically focused around 2 new designs, one of which has been since published, since the retreat has been completed, and that is Storia, which is now available on Ravelry. And Storia is a beautiful summer t-shirt. I had pre-ordered some yarn to meet me there, and this is it here. So it's the Fior Di Cashmere, and I ordered the blue color, which I thought was really pretty, very similar to this blue. But when I got there, this color, it's hard to see. It's also in this sort of bag, but there's some really interesting subtle nuances into this sort of natural color. And I swapped it out. So this color is called Quartz Dust, and I'm excited to give that a try with that Storia top. So check that out on Ravelry. It's a beauty. The other top that Isabell had designed for the retreat is a cardigan, and I can't remember the name of it. It's not yet released, and I think it's not going to be released for another couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. It's a cardigan texture, really pretty, really lovely. Yeah, so that's coming. The other thing that Isabell Kraemer had done is with our goodie bags, or swag bags, whatever you want to call it. Myak had put together some lovely things like some local spices, some tinctures, some creams, local creams, all using kind of the ingredients that were found locally. That there was a little shop in the village that sold this sort of stuff, very similar to, in keeping with the chef and his kind of thoughts and theories and creativity with what was grown around them, but also some yarn. So in the swag bag were these two here, which is the baby camel color desert. What color is this? Desert rose, something like that. I can't read the. Yeah, desert rose. Beautiful baby camel. I think it's a DK weight yarn, and with it, Isabell had done a hat design called the Vetta Hat, and I'm looking forward to casting that on. Also in this swag bag was a bit of information about Fibre Gentili, which is an Italian-based yarn company, using some fiber from the south of Italy that basically is wasted because the sheep are usually used for their meat, but the fiber isn't. So Fibre Gentili is using that wool in a sustainable method, spinning it and everything like that. So this is Fibre Gentili Alpi, which is the Alps, and all the colorways are riffs off of the natural colors in the area. So this is called rhododendron, because there's a lot of wild rhododendrons up in the Alps. And then also in a great way, put these two in just to show some other samples and stuff. But they had the whole selection there to look and see and order from, which I may or may not have ordered some yarn from. Anyways, so that was really great. So what else can I tell you? I'm looking at my notes. I think that's kind of it. I mean, we were busy, but chill. Great balance. Busy, chill, relaxed, well-fed, beautiful sleeping, great environment, great people. It was really a fun time. So if you ever have the opportunity to do any knitting retreat, I'd highly recommend it. The Myak retreats, I think, are very, very special, and I just had the best time. So there you go. So I'm going to end this little section now with some video reels of Cavalese and the hikes and things that we did there. So enjoy. I'll be back in another second.
And I must go. The mountains are calling, and I must go. We like a prayer, rivers that roam, silent speech
Okay, so last section for today, and thank you so much for sticking with me. This is my travel projects. What did I bring on this fabulous trip? Especially a knitting retreat trip, a knitting focused trip. And I basically brought 3 projects. One I didn't even work on a bit, so I didn't even bring it down. It was just like a round vanilla sock, the one that I take to appointments with me, just because I really thought I wasn't going to be able to concentrate on anything. And then another 2. So the main one is this. So this is a new design. Oh, and I totally forgot to pull this forward. This is a new design. And I knew I wanted to have another summer top, but then I kind of didn't really want it to be totally a summer top. Like I thought maybe it could be knit in all sorts of yarns and stuff like that. This has a mind of its own. It moves. Anyways, sorry. So I played around with stitches. And yeah, so using some leftover Lena, Sandnes Garn Lena, I played around with some stitches, and inadvertently I always end up with some leaf motifs. Like here's a leaf, got it into a leaf motif, but I wanted it to be kind of linear but really simple, something very easy to do. This was getting a little bit too full of knit stitches, like it almost looked like ribbing. I didn't want it to look entirely like ribbing. Like I wanted it to be an all over pattern so that it wouldn't look fussy, because I do believe that sometimes when you have like a lace pattern, it can go to be very intricate, which I do really like. I love intricate, but I don't want it to be fussy. So it's finding that right balance. Like that's why I did this, was sort of a bit more minimal, a bit more spaced out, like drops of rain. And I wanted this to be all over, but I didn't want it to be fussy. So I needed to kind of break all of this down into little bits. And I was just using leftover bits of the Sandnes Garn Lena or anything sort of similar. So yeah. So played around with that for quite a few days and came up with this stitch motif. And I really like it. It's just yarn overs and knit 2 togethers and SSKs and stuff like that. It's a 4-row repeat. It's really easy to read. And so it became a really good social project. It's similar to my other, like the mango tee, where the cast on it's a contiguous in the round cast on. So it creates a natural scooped neck. There's no short rows that need to happen in the back. So it's a really great fit, and I'm really pleased with it. And then the all over lace is vertical, which I wanted, but it didn't look like ribbing per se. And I'm really pleased with it. So I worked on that. And again, because it's such a simple pattern and so easy to recognize, like to read the pattern, I didn't need to have my notes with me. Once I got to beyond, the shaping for the shoulders, I was fine. And then you just work it flat for 6 inches and then in the round to the bottom. So that was really great. It was a really great travel knit. And now that I've done it so that right now it's basically like a sleeveless vest, and I will make notes and photograph it at this stage and work on the yardage and stuff like that. And then I'm going to add the little cap sleeves, which is like 3.5 inches long, do the same thing. And then I also want to knit it in another Myak yarn that I bought at Vogue, not at Vogue, but at the event around Vogue Knitting Live, the Myak event, which is a green wool, which I think is, can't remember what it's called. Anyways, you'll see it. And I want to do that as a long sleeve sweater. So this will be a top that will come out later, and it'll be everything from like short sleeve, sleeveless, and long sleeved options. So it's not necessarily a summer tee and not necessarily just a winter sweater. So it's covering everything, and I'm really excited about that. So that was pretty much what I worked on. I also worked on a sock. Originally, before I left, I cast on this sock here. What's this sock called? This is the Floris sock. Now, hard to see. It's basically just got another little lace design. I'm really feeling lace. And I had a little bit of this yarn here, which is one of my favorites, Magpie Fibre Swanky sock, Midnight Train to Georgia. And so I cast that on. I didn't really have enough, so I had to do the toe and bell bottom blues, which is fine. I divided the yarn in half because I wanted to kind of use it all up. So that is the Floris sock, and it's a really great pattern. It's designed by McLean, and I loved it, but I did realize this yarn is really dark, and I know I like to knit socks on an airplane, and I was not going to be able to knit this on an airplane. I find airplane lighting really bad, and sometimes hotel room lighting is really bad too. So I stopped after the one, and I will get back to that. And I went down into my stash, which is right behind me here, and found a bright yarn, a very easy to read yarn, and I cast on the Barbara sock by Summer Lee. And so I worked on this while I was gone. So I've worked on one sock, which is the right sock. So this pretty motif going down the leg here and down the foot on the right hand side, and then I'll do the left hand side, which I just cast on this morning. But this is a beautiful pattern. Summer Lee's designs are great. The Floris sock is another great design. I just picked the wrong yarn for travel. So this really got a lot of attention too, especially in tight, cramped spaces. I do find socks are great because if you're just sort of sitting there, and I keep the chart and everything on Knit Companion on my phone, so I literally don't need to take up too much space, and I'm happy as Larry working on that. So, oh, and I realized I did say this is Drops Belle again. I do love Drops Belle, really love Drops Belle, and I really love Sandus Garnlina, and I use the terms totally interchangeably, so if I've messed them up through this episode, I'm really sorry. But that's Drops Belle, and this color is Orchid, something Orchid. Actually, it's on my notes. Where are my notes? Purple Orchid, a beautiful yarn, and just really pleased with that. Yeah, and so that's pretty much all I worked on. Well, yeah, while I've been gone. Loved every minute of the knitting, lived every minute of the travel, and but also very happy to be home. I'm a homebody. Home is where my heart is, and so it's great to go for a little trip and to come back and just revel in the memories and all the thoughts and people that I met and everything like that. So yeah, so I think I'll leave you with that. I hope this isn't too long because I've recorded a few times and had some computer issues, which not really issues, it's more me issues understanding the computer. I feel like it's really long, but it probably actually won't be. I hope you found that interesting. If you ever get the opportunity to go, sorry, I've talked too much, I'm dry in the throat. If you ever get the opportunity to go on a knitting retreat, go for it. I went and didn't know anyone when I signed up, and I came back with 30 new friends, and I'm thrilled with that. And so don't think you have to go with anyone, just sign up, pitch in, sit with different people at every opportunity, and you'll meet so many wonderful people. I know I sure did. And I really would like to do more of the Myak knitting retreats for sure. They are top notch. And yeah, I'll leave it there. So until the next time, check out this pattern, Tanqueray Tea. Happy knitting, happy crafting, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, bye.